Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world, 12 years strong, as we are commemorating our 12-year anniversary here at the PSD Podcast Show. I'm Jeff Warren, here with my buddy Eric Leonard. How you doing, man?
I'm good. We're on video. I'm scared.
On video. What do I do? What do I do? No dead air.
When it first comes up, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Everybody can see me this time. Yeah, it's not just a faceless voice.
Exactly. We're still on audio. We still got our audio podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all major podcasting platforms, and of course over at PhiladelphiaSportsTable.com. That's where you can get all of our podcasts. We have them uploaded over there, and we got a really good show this week. But first, before we even get into the topics, Eric, how was practice tonight? Was practice all right for you? I know it was kind of a late practice for you.
Yeah, we just had our first tournament. Didn't do so hot.
Okay.
Installing a new half-court 3-2 trap off our defense.
Ooh, all right. Okay.
And a new flex offense. So only 5 kids out of 8 came tonight because I got some sick kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, for some reason, the less kids you get, the more they don't pay attention or listen. So that was interesting tonight. A lot of suicides. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
Yeah, but they're overall a good group though. It's just
that's what you said.
Yeah, and I think my wife reminded it's Easter break. I think. Yeah. So spring break, like they're all going to Panama City soon, and they want to like. I'm kidding.
I know.
Yeah.
They're gonna go down to Miami. Miami.
I went to Panama City in '98 before I graduated college. Worst week of my life. I hate.
Really?
I'm a dive bar guy, as you know, Jeff.
Yeah.
You and I have hung out more than one in our lifetime, and oh my God, just clubs and dudes with cameras trying to get girls to show what, and
yeah,
like this isn't for me. This is awful. I hate this. every bit inside of me.
I went out to the University of Indiana once on spring break. Boo.
Wild.
Yeah, it was a wild time. It was crazy and wacky.
Did you shuck some corn out there?
I know. I was hanging out with John Mellencamp,
Pretty pink houses for you and me, Jeff.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, crazy.
We got a great show, folks. It's going to be fun to get into some Philly sports history. You're going to like what we're dishing out right from the start with this show. And then we're going to get into Jalen Hurts. I know the NFL draft is coming up, but we've got a very special podcast in our feed, a PST special, where we talk to Matt Waldman from the rookie scouting portfolio, specifically about prospects coming out, offensive prospects coming out in this draft. You're not going to want to miss that. Check it out in the feed. But we want to get into Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was just named one of Time Magazine's most 100 influential people of 2025. Pretty amazing, actually. So we're going to dive into that storyline and what Jalen Hurts really just means to the Eagles and to the city. And, of course, being named one of the most 100 influential people of 2025. He's certainly making his mark in this world. And from there, we're going to get into some Sixers talk, a lot more Sixers talk as this season has now ended. We have more awards. We dove into some awards last week, but we've got more. We've got more this week. End of season awards. And from there, we are also going to get into this Philadelphia Phillies team. And that's what we're throwing down on the table this week, everybody. We've got Destiny Lugardo from PhilliesNation.com. She's going to be joining us to talk about how this team is looking after a lot of stumbling, quite frankly, and came out of the gate strong. A lot of stumbles, a lot of challenges right now from an offensive perspective. What should our level of concern be for this Phillies team, if any, at this point? It's early in the baseball season. So let's get started with some Philly sports history here, Eric. And I'm going to mention a few different moments in the world of Philly sports history. And I don't know if anything will stick out to you in terms of anything really, really notable. We can go back to April 13th, 1948, where the Baltimore Bullets, they overcame a 21-point halftime deficit to defeat the Philadelphia Warriors 66 to 63 in Game 2 of the BAA Finals, evening the series at 1-1. And then you have April 13th, 1987. Yes, 1987, where future Philly and Souderton native Jamie Moyer Then with the Chicago Cubs, he held the Phillies hitless for 8 innings in a 5-2 Cubs victory. April 15th, 2004, the Philadelphia Phillies secured their very first victory at Citizens Bank Park by defeating the Cincinnati Reds 6-4, thanks to a 4-run 8th inning. And then finally, this is only about a little over a year old, but on April 13th, 2024, the Flyers honored former player Wayne Simmons upon his retirement. He signed a one-day contract to retire as a Flyer and was celebrated at the Wells Fargo Center. God, we'd love to have Wayne Simmons back on this Flyers team in the future for sure. But the Jamie Moyer piece of history when he was on the Chicago Cubs, that kind of stood out to me, Eric. I don't know. Did any of these stand out to you at all?
Well, the first one, just the score of the game,
yes,
is hilarious. Like
66-63.
Like I saw AAU games this past weekend, higher scores. Totally different style of basketball. I mean, if you watch the Grizzlies Warriors last night, I think my final score was like 120 to 116. Like, you imagine like Hoosier style set jump shots,
Yes.
while Steph Curry is 40 feet behind the 3-point line. It's just weird to think about how basketball's evolved. Did you know that this is how long Jamie Moyer's been around? I think his first start for the Cubs was against Steve Carlton for the Phillies.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's how long he pitched. And I think he retired and went like 20, my God, like 2012, something like
2012,
that.
something like that. Yeah. It was early 2010s. Yeah.
I mean, Steve Carlton started in the 60s, for God's sakes. Like that was his first opponent. And the Flyers thing, that was when I was still watching the Flyers a little bit. I was a huge Wayne Simmons fan. I love the tough guy thing.
Yep.
And I think I was probably at that game, the first Phillies win. They beat the Reds.
Yes.
I think they started their series against the Reds when they opened up the ballpark. I think it was.
Wow. You were there.
I'm sure I had like partial season tickets, like half the season. So I'm sure I was there. I didn't have much going on. I was married, but I didn't have kids yet. So I had a dog.
Yes.
I had to walk before I got on the subway to go to the game. But I'm sure I was there, had a couple beers, and had fun. And we're getting old though. Like that was 21 years ago.
I know, dude. And you're right about Jamie Moyer too, by the way. He retired in 2012, a 25-year career. He last pitched for the Colorado Rockies, actually. But, when we talked to Jamie Moyer, we had the opportunity, and honestly, it was an honor to talk to him at the Reading Hot Stovers banquet that the PST podcast show attends every year. And just hearing about his career, his stories, and I reference it every now and again on this show. He is the staple, in my opinion, for a professional athlete that over so many years had to change and alter aspects of their game to remain relevant in the sport that they played professionally. And I think he is, again, that staple and that individual that people can look to say, you know what, Tom Brady may have had to do it in the world of professional football. But really, I think it's Jamie Moyer who is the staple for that, to have such a long career and to be as relevant as he was in Major League Baseball.
I've always likened him, because I'm an NBA guy, to Ray Allen.
Ray Allen,
started out, he was an athletic phenom. He came into the league as he was in college. And, throughout the years when he finally made it to the Heat in like 2013, 2014 season, the year they won the second title that they won, and he hit probably the greatest shot in the history of the NBA, but he kind of nestled into like a jump shot artist, but made huge shots. And just like Jamie Moyer started as a normal pitcher, and then he's like, I'm never going to be able to throw 98 miles an hour. That's just not me.
Right.
But by far, my favorite guy to talk to in person at the Reading Hot Stovers events. A close second was Greg Luzinski, who was a little tilty. Told great stories though, and I just couldn't stop staring at the glass of scotch in his hand and his gigantic fingers.
Yep.
and I say that to say this because like he looked like a baseball player I couldn't even relate to. We talked to Jamie Moore, and I'm like, this guy, he might be in a cubicle next to me.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
He played 20 some years in Major League Baseball.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was super cool. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week in Philly sports history. Now we're going to move on to news that came out this week in the world of Eagles Nation. And we wanted to talk for a moment about Jalen Hurts. As I mentioned at the top, he's named one of Time Magazine's most 100 influential people of 2025. Folks, as we know, this is a quarterback who was drafted in the second round of the 2020 NFL draft, while the Eagles already had their franchise quarterback of the future, who later fizzled out completely, where the Eagles had to trade their franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts comes in. We don't really know what to expect. A lot of folks saying, "Thank goodness they drafted this quarterback in the second round. Let's see what he's all about." Just the level of work, the level of perseverance that this gentleman has had over the years. Thank goodness for that pick, because without hesitation at all, Jalen Hurts picked up that leadership mantle for the Philadelphia Eagles and really, for an entire city. And now he's a Super Bowl champion, one of Time's most 100 influential people of 2025, Eric. I just wanted to bring this up, because it's not too often that we can say in the world of Philly sports that we have had such a relevant team year after year after year. The Eagles won the Super Bowl and beat the New England Patriots, kind of at the height of their dynasty. And that dynasty started dying off after the Eagles beat them with Nick Foles at the quarterback position. And then we have this tumultuous time with the quarterback position where Jalen Hurts is then the guy to just pick everything up, goes to a Super Bowl, loses to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then meets them just a couple years later, beats the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, an incredible career. And like, I'm just, as an Eagles fan and somebody who loves this team so much, just so grateful that we have this guy, and for him to be noticed as one of the most influential people of 2025 of this year. It really says something about, again, I use that word perseverance that he has, the type of individual I think that he really is. I don't know. I don't get into the hokey, oh, I feel so proud of my city and my team and stuff. I always happy when they win. I'm always happy when they're in the playoffs. Doesn't matter what team it is. But I genuinely felt some sort of pride for some reason hearing about this story, reading about it this past week here. The fact that this guy who was able to give this team another championship, and with his other teammates as well. It's just such a great story, and it leads me to believe that this Philadelphia Eagles team is going to be extremely relevant in the future because of who this guy is as a person. So I'm gonna stop pontificating. I don't know what are your thoughts when you heard this news, buddy?
Um, I wasn't shocked because it's a great story. Like he's won a Super Bowl, he's been to two, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. He wasn't a seventh round pick, he was a second round pick. But honestly, it's an underdog story.
It is.
He was
Yeah.
benched in the 2018 national championship. That would have been a death knell for some quarterbacks that were kind of borderline first, second, third rounders. Um, the Eagles made that move, and I remember we watched it. I think that was the COVID one, right? We all
Yeah.
watched it kind of together on FaceTime
Yes.
or whatever it was on
Yep.
Zoom,
Yep.
and all of us were just like, okay, I'm not
What the
sure."
hell? They just freaking signed Carson Wentz. Why are they taking a quarterback in the second round?
Yeah, and that was before it turned in like this. We're a quarterback factory, whatever.
You're right.
But like, thank God they did,
Yep.
and it really is an underdog story because like, who's the last non-first round quarterback to win a Super Bowl in the past however many years? Is it Nick Foles, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's I
Mhm.
mean Matt Stafford, Mahomes. I mean, guys have made it to the Super Bowl that weren't first rounders, but like nobody's won it. He's one of the first ones. He's also just on a on a local level. He's finally shed that entire narrative of like even this past season a little bit. We were having conversations here and there about like, is he the guy? Some games
Yeah.
he just doesn't look. It just doesn't look like he has it. And that is officially done. Like we can never have that conversation again.
Yeah.
Brought a trophy home, and like I talked a ton about the Eagles kicking the Chiefs' ass defensively. So did he. He kicked their ass
Yes.
offensively. I mean, he made some perfect throws. The dagger to the heart in the beginning of the third quarter ended the entire game. They were done, and it was his pass and great catch. Great catch, but perfect pass. And like
Yes.
he's that guy now. Like he's gone past the McNabb conversation. It was like he's great, but just
Yes.
couldn't do it, right?
Right, right.
And subsequent quarterbacks, like even Carson Wentz was probably going to wind up being that guy, even though his team went to the Super Bowl, he didn't win it. So he's I mean, is he the best quarterback we've ever had?
I would say yes.
Yeah, has to
I
be.
would absolutely say yes at this
Yeah,
point. And he's not look, I think the point too here, and you look at the list of 100 most influential people or anything like that, and athletes who have been on it in the past, like Simone Biles has been on it. I think Derek Jeter may have been on it or so. I could be mistaken about that, but like honestly, he's not a douche. You look at
no,
some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the years. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, Tom Brady as well. There's some real douchey guys out there. Jalen Hurts is a very grounded individual. And that moniker of douche, it's just that's not him at all. And it's so nice knowing that we're going to be going into future seasons with this type of guy. Yes, can things change? Can attitudes change? Can folks change, as they're moving along with their career? Absolutely. People can alter themselves here and there in various ways. But I just don't see it happening with Jalen Hurts. Like, he is the real deal.
yeah. I had heard prior to the Super Bowl victory, prior to the season, he could be a little preachy at times in like in interviews and press conferences. But if you win a Super Bowl, you can preach as much as you want, dude.
Right, right.
Because he's real. It's not
Yeah.
fake preaching.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Russell Wilson is a fake preachy guy. Like
Yes.
he got famous, he got the money, got the famous girlfriend, and it after he stopped winning, that preachiness like rubs everyone the wrong way, including his teammates. That's why
Yep.
he's on the freaking Giants now, and
Yep.
probably his last stop in the NFL. Can't see that happening with this guy who's far more talented than Russell Wilson ever was, in my opinion, and because he can do it with his legs too,
Right.
and has the Super Bowl ring, and there's a good damn chance he's going to get one or two more. I mean, if you look at the NFL landscape, we're still young. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, top three, I would say, and he just shoved it up Pat Mahomes' ass on national
Yes.
TV. So
Yep.
if I had to make a bet, if I had to make a wager that he's going to win another one, I would absolutely take ring number 2 at some point.
I think it could happen for sure. Absolutely deserves also to be on Time's 100 most influential individuals of 2025. So that's going to do it for us here during our first segment. We are getting ready to take a break here, but make sure you are following us on various social media sites. You can see for if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here on on video. We are on Instagram, Twitter/X. I am over on TikTok at Mr. Jeff Warren. Give me a follow over there and give the show a like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Philadelphia Sports Table. Eric and I are over on Threads at Mr. Jeff Warren for me, at Slen1023 for Eric. And we're both over at Blue Sky as well. I'm at Jeff Warren and Eric is at Brick Pollitt. Give us a follow on our social media sites. So it's going to do it for us right now. And when we come back, we are going to be getting into a ton of Sixers talk and Phillies talk. Stick with us. We will be back in just a bit. All right, we are back. It is good to be talking about the end of this Sixers season, finally, Eric. Good to be talking about it. We had some awards and trophies last week that we were giving out. And this week, folks, we're going to be giving out more awards and trophies as the season has ended for this Philadelphia 76ers team. Eric, I think you have more than I do, more trophies. I have 3 trophies that I'm going to be giving out. I know you've got a few more. So why don't we get started on the end of the season awards and trophies here for this just absolutely dog crap of a season here.
Just horrible. And I thought about it. I was writing up my awards. These are so much more fun when the team sucks. Like if they're good, like
yes,
you scored a lot of points award. Like
yes.
who cares? That's not.
Oh,
fun.
I've got some hokey ones. I've got some
Okay.
hokey ones coming. I'm just letting everybody know, letting you know as well. Yeah.
Mine are all bad, and some of the references I'll probably have to explain. So
nice. Okay,
yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, because we are older, and maybe they're
Mhm.
older references. Maybe I don't know. And
some are older, some are personal, some are like
okay.
yeah. I have to.
All right. Well, get us started here, buddy. Let's do our first Sixers trophy here. Who are we going to be giving this one to?
The first one is the PIP Award.
Ooh.
That stands for Performance Improvement Plan. If you've ever been bad at work and you need to be put on a PIP, this goes up to Nick Nurse. Uh,
Ah.
you were really good last season, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
And even though the season fell apart, even before it was falling apart, I was not getting a good sense that you're a good coach anymore.
Yeah.
So when Daryl Morey announced that he was coming back for sure, but there'd have to be some changes, I was like, okay, he was on a PIP now. His one, he's got one season to make this thing work. If everyone comes back healthy and they keep their pick, and he can't make it work, he's gonna have to walk. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he's got one shot. He's done.
I like that. I think, yeah, I think he's going to end up sticking around, honestly, because I don't think you can take what this season was. And yes, even though there was a lot of questionable coaching type of decisions he would make here and there was also a lot of experimentation with some of the younger guys that we saw, especially towards the latter part of the year. And basically since February, we just saw a lot of experimentation, a lot of lineup issues. Part of me felt bad for the guy being put in that situation. It's tough to feel bad for somebody who's an NBA coach. There's only so many in this world and making all that money. But when you are dealt what this team was dealt this year, it's really tough to be like, oh, you're the worst coach in the world. I don't know. That's how I see him.
Well, I felt bad for him near the end of the year because it's like, what do you want me to do at this point? And I was
Right.
like, just lose. Don't screw this up.
Right.
But when there was a glimmer of hope, when they were like 500, like 15-15, and Maxey was playing well and Paul George was playing okay, and B was like kind of filling in spots.
Yeah.
It's like you were losing to the Bulls and the Kings,
Yeah.
and it was like, and you were losing the team when you still kind of had a chance. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I was like, all right, is Embiid running this team? And Nick Nurse has just lost all control, because
Right.
that's the one aspect of the year. I'm like, maybe he shouldn't come back next year. That's why he's on a PIP, Jeff. He has one
Right.
year to make this work.
There you go. Okay, sounds good. I like that a lot. What's your next one? You do another one, and then I'll do one of the trophies. Okay. Here's the next trophy here that we're going to be dishing out. Who's this going to, Eric?
This is the George Costanza "It's Not You, It's Me" award. I've asked Joel Embiid out to lunch because I have to break up with him. It's been such a tough, tumultuous road with this guy,
Oh,
and I just finally have to do it. And
yeah.
I drop him the line, "It's not you, it's me." And he turns it George Costanza style and goes, "I'm the inventor. If it's not you, it's not you, it's me."
Yes.
Oh, it's me, buddy. I'm the one that fucked this whole season up. They gave me the extension. I went to the Olympics regardless. I wasn't healthy.
Yep.
I came in out of shape like I do every fucking year. I'm going to swear a little bit because I'm sick of this guy right now.
Yeah.
He just had his 8th knee surgery or some shit. And I want to break up with you so bad, but it is you, Joel. It's not me. It's you.
Right.
Like, there's no more pointing fingers, no more to blame. You're the only guy left from you call yourself the process, right? That's your nickname.
Yeah.
Well, there's no one else here. You're the only
Yeah.
one. So this dumpster fire is on your shoulders.
Eric, last week after we recorded, and I then talked to Sean Bernard from Fox Sports Phillies The Gambler, I said it's astonishing where Joel Embiid was just 2 years ago, the MVP of the league. And the year prior to that, he was the perennial runner-up. And where we are now, just 2 years later, it is an astonishing fall from grace. And and we don't know who we're going to get next year. I have a feeling, I mean, we're never going to get 2 years ago Joel Embiid again. That's never going to happen. And I think if you're a Sixers fan, you're a basketball fan, you understand that. However, like he's still going to be, I think, a very good NBA player, but it's still your award here is perfect. It still doesn't mean that he hasn't screwed things up here. In these past 2 years, there have been major screw ups. I love the "it's not you, it's me" thing. I absolutely love it. I think it's great.
Well, you just wanted to take some blame here and there.
Yeah.
He just never has. Like,
Yeah.
it just drives you crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. So I am going to get into mine here, my hokey awards. And my first one is this award is going to be going to the guy who is most likely to be mistaken for a ghost. And this is going to be Paul George. Of course, he averaged 16.2 points per game in 27 games. I believe it was 27 games this season, and then completely vanished from the lineup. He was a ghost. He was a ghost. He was Casper. He was absolutely a non-factor this season. And he is getting, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for those watching on video, he is getting this trophy from me right now. Again, the most likely 76er to be mistaken for a ghost this season. That's what I have. That's my Hokie award.
As the technology gets better, can we have a ghost like fly past the trophy?
I really wish I had time today. I didn't eat my dinner tonight till like 9:15.
Yeah, same here. So, well,
I wish.
Can I just give out my Paul George award now?
Do it. Yeah. Which one is it? Yeah, go ahead.
It's the Deep Throat Award to Paul George. Who are you? Where are you from? Where have you come from? Where are you going? Yes. No one knows who you are anymore.
Yeah.
You were phenomenal with the Clippers for the previous 2 seasons. Really great 3 years ago in the playoffs. I don't know what the fuck happened to that guy. And I never thought that he was like a problem in the locker room or in press conferences. He always seemed like a stand-up dude.
He enjoys podcasting. I enjoy it too. You know, I understand.
I do too, but I also like have a job and have, kids I have to take care of, all, that kind of stuff, life stuff. Yeah. My job and how I get paid. Yeah. It's, again, I don't know who you are. If he comes in, he might come out next year and everyone's healthy and he's just killing it. He had a year off to rest and he might be awesome. But right now, I don't know who you are, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I am absolutely with you on this. And I know it's going to sound like I'm making excuses for the guy, but when you're getting injections, a number of injections continuously into your body over the course of so many months of a season of doing professional sports, oh man, there's something definitely wrong there. But it lends itself, of course, to this award, the Deep Throat Award that you just said. Who are you? Where are you going? Like, what's happening here? I love it. I love it. That's a great award for sure. All right. Why don't you do another one? Because I know you got a few more. I've got 2 more. Why don't you do another one here?
All right. This one's a little obscure. If you know the movie High Fidelity, came out in 2000. John Cusack.
Yep.
The Rob Gordon Award. He was the lead character.
Yes.
And that goes out to Jimmy Butler. I know he's not on the Sixers, but I watched him annihilate the Grizzlies last night and helped the Warriors make it to the 7 hole in the playoffs out in the West.
Yep.
And, there's a 15-minute part in that movie where Rob, he breaks up with his girlfriend or she breaks up with him and he goes to past girlfriends and tries to figure out, why did you break up with me? What's wrong with me? And I want to go to Jimmy Butler and just be like, what happened?
Yeah.
Come back. Why did you leave? Like what was the reason?
Come back to our city.
Come back, please. Like even at 34 years old last night, and he's making too much money for what he does, but I was like, this guy has a set of balls on him, and he scored 38 points in a huge game. And he, not just that, he made like 12 free throws and he had 10 assists. I was just like, this is the exact guy they needed all these years.
Yeah.
And they picked Ben Simmons over him, Tobias Harris over him. And he was the guy. And I just want to take him aside and go, Jimmy, I'm so sorry. Like what happened? Tell me. I need to know because I need to be better as a person going forward. And you're the only one that can help me. Yeah.
It's not just from an on the court perspective either. Like he was so good in the locker room, just his energy that he had, that's been missing so much from this team.
He's a dick. They needed the dick all these years to take Embiid aside when he was being superstar and be like, hey, asshole, I want to win a ring. You're my ticket.
Yeah.
That Simmons, the Australian kid, fuck him. He ain't it. He would have been that guy to like draw that line in the sand. And I still want to know what happened, Jimmy, please.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like that award. All right. My next award here, this trophy, folks, here is going to be going out to the Sixers player who is most likely to be mistaken as a vet award. That's what this award is. And that's going to go to one Jared McCain, a rookie who before his injury was averaging 15.3 points per game, 46% field goal percentage there. Again, the Sixers player most likely to be mistaken as a vet. I cannot wait to see. And this is positive. This is actually a positive award here. I can't wait to see what he's going to do next year, how he's going to fit in this team. Of course, what the team is going to look like, and if everybody is able to stay healthy. Jared McCain is going to be a key piece, I think, moving forward. And if he has any semblance of common sense and wanting to develop and learn the game, I hope he has a great relationship with Tyrese Maxey during the offseason. They're talking a lot, and Tyrese can really be that foundation for him moving forward, because how many years were we saying, oh my gosh, Maxey's still developing. He's still developing. We never saw this coming. I see some Jared McCain attributes in terms of, if he's looking in a mirror, Tyrese Maxey could be right there as well. So that's my award that I'm giving out to Jared McCain. Again, Sixers player most likely to be mistaken as a vet, because he really was playing like it a lot this season when he was on the court.
He looked great. And I'll just go to my next award here quick because he's part of it. This is in honor of one of the mothers of the show.
Okay. All right.
This is the Paula Hunsicker Award.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Len's
Paula
mom.
Hunsicker, Len's mom, an amazing, wonderful lady.
Yes. The best part of Len by far.
Yes.
No disrespect to Len Sr., but
right.
She is by far, she is the number one all time of coming to my house, greeting you with open arms and love and food.
Yep.
I love you. How have you been? Kisses on the cheek.
Exactly.
The greatest greeter, the greatest welcomer I've ever experienced in my life as someone's home. This goes out to Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and the 5th pick of the draft this year, which we're going to get, by the way.
Yes.
Welcome back, boys. Come on in. What a tumultuous, ugly, crap season where we finished the season with the WTH Award winner, Colin Castleton from last week. Not to mention some other guys that might come in. I might give awards to here a little later. But, I want players. I want positivity. We have to get out of whatever this season turned into.
Yeah.
Ugly breakups with Joel Embiid. Paul George is a mystery. I don't know who he is. Jimmy Butler's winning games. We need you three to come back and just liven things up. So with open arms, whatever food you want, if you want me to kiss you on the cheek too, whatever drink you need, come on in. Come back, please.
I love it. I love the Paula Hunsicker Award. I mean, I remember the first time back when we were in college, I walk in Len's house and I was staying over for a night. We were going to be hanging out in Norristown in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And I walk in and just a big hug from Paula Hunsicker. I'd never met her before. I was like, oh my gosh, do I know you from someplace? You're just, like you said, welcoming with open arms. And we need that. We need that from the Sixers team desperately, man. Desperately. Yep. You want to do your next award? Yeah, I can do my last one if you want. So my last one, this one's really hokey. It's the award for the guy most likely to be a dad in the locker room award. And that's going to Gershon Yabusele. Okay. Why? Because he's steady, he's calm, and he's slightly disappointed. At the end of the day. So that the most likely to be a dad in the locker room award goes to Gershon Yabusele.
Okay, well, I have 2 more awards. One of them is for him. I was going to give him the award for a decent Frenchman. Yes. And that was in honor of Len for years. You would hear a French name. And Len, if you're watching TV, you always go, to
this day, he'll still do
that's all they do.
Yes.
Yes. Hell of a player. I don't know what financially they're going to do.
I know. Yeah.
To bring him back, but he's gonna command some money on the market. So
yeah.
I mean, if you go big at your 5th pick, if they keep the pick, then maybe he walks and that'll suck. But I hope they can bring him back.
Yep. All right. Very good. Well, what's your you have one more?
One more. I'm going to give this a
Okay.
shot. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
Okay. And this is Philadelphia related.
Okay, let's get this trophy out here. Let's get it going here. Here we go.
Okay. This is the Billy Ray Valentine Award.
It was still a little muffled. It was a little muffled.
I tried, man. Okay, next time we'll
next time we'll actually get the MP3 to actually be able to play it here. Oh man.
Was that better?
That was a little bit better. Okay. That was a little bit better. I mean, I can do this. Hold on.
Okay. Beforehand, because we actually have technology at our hands now. No, that is the Billy Ray Valentine Get the Fuck Out Award. That's Eddie Murphy's character from Trading Places, which took place in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And that goes out to five Sixers: Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Jeff Doughton, Jared Butler, Jalen Hood Schifino. Get the fuck out. We don't need you. You did what you had to do to get us to hopefully get the 5th pick.
Yeah.
Your service has been fulfilled. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. All 5 of you. I'm sure there's more.
If I don't see Kyle Lowry again in a Sixers uniform,
he gave us nothing this year. Zero.
Right.
I wanted to put Lonnie Walker on here, but he's a Reading boy. I hope they bring him back for a cheap deal.
Yeah.
But those 5 in particular, get the fuck out.
They like you said, they helped us get possibly the 5th pick at this point. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll get the 4th pick.
Yeah, great. You get some free tickets next year. You can come watch a good team.
Great awards here, Eric. God, I loved them. That was a fun segment. But folks, we still want to talk about this Sixers team just a little bit here. Quick discussion about how bad are the Sixers. I'm being serious when I ask this. Like, how bad are the Sixers going to get screwed by Adam Silver in the front office leading up to the NBA draft? We know that the NBA front offices, Eric, have been investigating the 76ers for the tanking crap and nonsense. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a feeling Adam Silver is going to try something to screw this team and front office over so bad when it comes to the draft because of the amazing tank job that they did. And maybe I'm just being conspiratorial about it right now. Maybe I should get a tinfoil hat and put it on here. I'm going to need to get one of those. I'm going to need to get one because now we have the visual. I'm going to need to get a tinfoil hat. So I'm concerned, man. I really am concerned that the NBA is really going to try to screw the Sixers in terms of the draft.
If I didn't have amazing hair, I'd join you with the tin hat thing. That's what people are tuning in for.
Absolutely. Your olive skin, blue eyes, and amazing hair.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to investigate us for tanking, who's on the trail? Who's the Pink Panther on the trail of or Clouseau on the trail of the Wizards or the Hornets for the past 10 fucking years? I mean, come on, man.
Exactly.
Like this, Utah hasn't tried to win in like 5 seasons now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go the opposite way with the tin hat thing. Like I think to keep the Sixers narrative is like messed up as it is. They're also one of the biggest markets in basketball.
Yeah.
Like maybe you push them up to like 1, 2, or 3 and give them a top player.
That's actually that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, okay, you want your top 3 players going to Charlotte, Utah, and Washington. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Cooper Flagg play a primetime game in like 3 years if you do that. Like
that'll be good for the markets, you know.
And then the 4th team is the Pelicans. They're one of the worst markets in basketball, and the Sixers are number 5, and they're like one of the top 4 or 5 markets in basketball. I don't think there's going to be a screw job. If anything, if they really want to like mess with the Sixers because of Daryl for whatever reason, and his like controversies with China and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then you would give OKC the 7th pick and the Sixers get screwed completely. And this whole season was like worse than a dumpster fire. It's just a beached whale filled with shit. It explodes. It's just awful. Like, I don't know how then it catches fire. Like it can't get worse. That's the worst case scenario.
And then we're waiting 20 years for a possible championship if that ever comes in our lifetime again, you know.
20. My God, it's been 32,
I
right?
know. I know.
Yeah. Or maybe wait, more? Maybe?
I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
if
been
I have another 30.
42.
I don't know if I have another 42 years in me.
You don't. Neither
Yeah,
do I.
exactly. I don't know if I have 2 years in me.
I'll be 90. Like
Yes.
my son Vinny will have to like he'll stuff me and I'll take me down to the parade. It'll just be like a
Just a weekend at Bernie's.
my poor son and his friend Mason, my dead corpse, like, like taking me
Dragging you down Main Street. Yeah.
down Broad Street. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm just hoping just keep the 5. This is a really high end draft.
Yeah.
There's like 5 or 6 really damn good ball players. If they can just get a top 5 pick, whoever they take is going to help them next year.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
All right. Very good. That's going to do it for our Sixers talk here this week. And before we get to what we were throwing down on the table, we've got a great interview with Destiny Lugardo from PhilliesNation.com. We wanted to talk about this Phillies team because, gosh, Eric, they started the season strong. Man, they came out hot. They won their first 3 series. We were talking about them just last week, how they are able to contend with a team like the Dodgers. And now all of a sudden, holy crap, within the past week, this Phillies team is having so much trouble from an offensive perspective. At this point, with runners in scoring position, I think they're like batting around 199, 197, somewhere around there. It's pathetic what's happening. Brandon Marsh is having major issues. Alec Boehm is having major issues. Pretty sure we're going to be getting into that with Destiny Lugardo in just a bit too. But I mean, I'm talking about, as much as I love them, Harper and Turner, these guys really need to start stepping up big time. And, these huge contracts, it's, I feel like it's an albatross from a storyline perspective. They are making hundreds of millions of dollars with this organization over the course of so many years. And we always go to that. We always say, you know what? They got these big contracts. They should be doing it. Yes, it's the game of baseball. There are ups and downs. There are guys who go through various type of streaks during the course of a season. But these are veteran guys who've been playing baseball now for a long time. And what we are seeing, and again, I'm going to mention it to Destiny too, is like, I just feel like we're towards the end of the 2024 season. That we're seeing the same type of stuff. We're seeing the same type of garbage. Like, they're chasing garbage. They're just they're in their heads so much, trying too hard, that they're not playing the game of baseball in an intelligent way, quite frankly. It's been really enraging to see where this team has gone within a week. A week, man. It's pretty enraging.
Well, the good thing about baseball is, yeah, like last week we were kissing their asses, and this week it's like, oh, they look like shit.
Yeah.
It can turn around next week, but some of the real fears that you have, your top 3 OPS guys right now are Schwarber, Sosa, and Castellanos. Like, and we know how up and down Schwarber and Castellanos can be. Like, it is,
Yeah.
they are not steady whatsoever. Harper's kind of leveling. He's kind of, he's batting 270, 873 OPS, but like, Stott's been hot lately. But where you're really scared is your younger guys. Like Alec Baum is just having a ridiculously bad start to the season.
Yeah, he's cratered.
This should be where he starts to take the mantle a little bit from the older guys. Not completely, but like he should be like right there with them. We talked about Brandon Marsh earlier this year. Like, is he going to secure the center field spot? He's going to get a big contract.
I was so high on him too when we were doing our Philly season preview, buddy. I was really high on him. Like, yeah, let him be the everyday center fielder. Oh boy. Ugh.
Listen, the Mendoza line, if you're a baseball historian, is 200. He's batting 95.
Yes.
He's whatever the 100 line is, he's below that. So
right.
That doesn't get much worse than that. And you can't expect much from Max Kepler and even Real Muto offensively, just because you brought Kepler in as kind of a small gamble, and if he's doing what exactly you'd expect him to do, I think.
Yeah.
And Real Muto's gonna get hurt. Trey Turner is just he's slowly becoming that top 10, top 20 turd in the punch bowl, big time Philly athlete where you're like,
yeah,
how much money we give this guy?
Yeah.
He's batting 222.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? He has.
Yeah.
If you look at I don't always love to look at the WAR, stat.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got one guy that's over one on offense,
Do
right?
they really? I actually haven't looked at the wins above
It's
replacements.
it's
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Schwarber, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, yeah, you're pretty average.
Yeah. Wow.
Marsh, you're actually worse than average. Pitching wise, it's not like Wheeler's had some shaky starts. Nola's been a little
His ERA
shaky.
is over 4.
Well, Nola's almost at 7.
Yeah.
Thank God for Luzardo and Sanchez. They've pitched pretty well.
Yep.
Be really nice when they get God help me out. Sorry.
Andrew Painter.
Well, no, I mean if he comes up,
Yeah.
Suarez, when Suarez comes
Oh,
back.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Which should be soon.
yeah, and kind of in their defense, I did go back and look at some of the pitching matchups, or some of the pitchers they faced against the Cardinals and the Giants. And we just kind of ran up against their best pitchers. Like Robbie Ray tonight kicked
Yeah.
the shit out of them.
Absolutely.
Every Cardinals pitcher had a pretty good outing against them. I forget who pitched the game 1 against the Giants, but I mean, Justin Verlander pitched last night against the Phillies.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it 2007 again? Like what? I don't know. He was still in the league. I'll be honest with you, but like they've had some tough pitching matchups, but that doesn't excuse like having a 95 batting average. Like that's
Exactly. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's look, I'm not panicking at all at this point. Like
no,
there's no panic because there's still a lot of season left. It's like get the crap out right now, get the garbage baseball play out now so that come summertime, this team is hopefully going to be clicking on all cylinders. So that being said, buddy, I'm going to let you go, and then we're going to bring Destiny Lugardo on from PhilliesNation.com. You got any final thoughts, man, before we head out?
I'm tired.
You're tired. I'm
Going to bed.
tired too. All
Yeah.
right. Well, why don't we go to a break here, and when we come back, we're going to be hanging out with Destiny Lugardo. Let's take that break right now. Joining us this week, coming to us from PhilliesNation.com, she and her colleagues over there do a fantastic job of reporting on this Philadelphia Phillies team, and we got a lot to get into when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies. Eric and I were just talking about this team and the lack of offense. We're going to dive into it even more with our guest. Again, from PhilliesNation.com, she runs the ship over there, Ms. Destiny Lugardo. Destiny, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Yes, I do run the ship now.
Yes, it's a fun time in the world of Phillies Nation here. I say a fun time because there's always ups and downs when it comes to this team. I mean, it's amazing what we've seen thus far, I think, with this Phillies team because they come out of the gate really strong to start the season. We are all on a high, and now they are just in a tough spot, not being able to really score runs. In fact, I think they're batting like 197 with runners in scoring position as of us recording this on April 16th here this week. Look, I'm not going to panic as a fan since we still have a lot more baseball to watch from this team. We know how Major League Baseball works. We know how the ins and outs of players work. But there are definitely some things that we're seeing right now that are very concerning with this team. And it's basically, Destiny, I'm thinking like the kind of stumbling that we saw during the last couple of months of the 2024 season. And recently, Trey Turner, he said it's just a matter of time before the offense starts coming around. Thank you, Trey. Please make it so. Destiny, what do you think we should be most concerned about when it comes to the batting with this Phillies team here in April?
Yeah, I think there are some disappointing stories early on, particularly when we're talking about Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh. Really, with
Yeah.
with Alec Boehm, you like the quality of contact.
Yeah.
What you don't like is him sulking in some of his failures. And I know in
Yeah.
spring trading, the team talked him up and said like, "Oh, he's a new guy. He's got a positive spirit," even after an off season of trade rumors. And we kind of saw the same thing. But I do think Boehm is starting to get out of it a little bit, and hopefully he's learning from just going through a bad slump and learning from the idea that you don't have to kind of take every bad result in, and you could kind of be resilient that way. And then with Marsh, it's just like it feels like he's putting a lot of pressure on himself, and you kind of
Yeah.
understand that just because he came into this season with this idea that he's gonna, prove to the team that he is the everyday center fielder.
Yep.
And I think as a result, he is putting too much pressure on himself. I know he talked about last night he was just a little bit still in the box and not feeling himself, and after a couple of days of work, he does feel a little bit better. As of right now, he's still 0 for 29. So at some point, like he's going to get a hit. But it's been a pretty brutal slump for him early on, and it's definitely hit his confidence. But it's everybody goes through this, right? Like
They
it's
do.
slumps are
Yeah.
inevitable. So these guys are going to get out of it, and then other guys are going to go into slumps, and then we're going to be freaking out about other players. It's just a repetitive cycle of watching
It is.
baseball. But
It is.
I guess like the biggest concern, and I totally understand where people are coming from, just because we've seen a lot of this over the last couple of years. I think the angst of the results of the last two playoffs where they stopped hitting um, kind of seeps into this year. And whenever you see signs of that coming into play, of course, like people are going to be freaking out. So um, I think in general this year, like the at bats have been better. Runners in scoring position, I can't really say the same thing. I just feel like there's a lack of execution and sometimes a lack of um, recognizing the situation.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
when it comes to runners in scoring position, like it's such a fickle stat. Like it's gonna change. Sometimes there's years like I think of the Atlanta Braves last year, like they just never hit with runners in scoring position. You
Yeah.
just hope that that's not the case, but I think that's something that's gonna trend in a more positive direction. But I do understand a lot of the fan concern early on. I'll tell people like this is the same thing. It happens every year. Guys go into slumps and then they come out of it. You just have to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, we do have to be patient. I mean, I'm hoping Brandon Marsh doesn't wait until June to get that next hit that we are so needing from him. And in the same with Alec Boehm. I mean, just there's something to be said for sports psychology, the mental aspects of the game of baseball. And I mean, I would imagine, and I don't know, maybe it's something you can ask, honestly, Destiny, when you are behind the scenes and when you are reporting, like how the sports psychology has been going for this team. Do they have the resources at Citizens Bank Park and within the club for these guys to help them? Because what you're talking about, and you said it, it's mental. I mean, this is mental, what is happening with this team. And hopefully from a sports psychology standpoint, it's tough to just work these things out on a whim, like taking, just at the snap of a finger. It takes time. And I think we need to understand that as fans. So who knows? Maybe you want to ask about that. I'm not telling you how to do your
Yeah,
job,
like
even though
I mean, I could say I know that like the Phillies are a team that pour the resources into everything that could
yeah,
possibly be an advantage for them, and one of them is definitely the mental skills. Like you'll see all these people behind the scenes, and I think a big part of it, not just the people that are the specialists, but I think a lot of the veterans. Like I think of Kyle Schwarber and even Bryce as like guys that you could lean on if you are going through something like a
yeah,
slump that's just kind of weighing you down mentally. I especially think like guys like Kyle and Bryce could be like a huge asset to the younger players.
yeah,
But yeah, like it's just a matter of it's really hard to talk about this stuff too, just because I've like the fan and the media person, like we've never experienced anything like this where you're trying as hard as you possibly can to do the right thing and get the result, but it's just
right,
not happening. And how do you deal with that? And honestly, like I'm always amazed at how well these guys can deal with failure. So
yeah,
it's strange to see like someone like Bohm who obviously is having a hard time with it. Like you empathize with that because you can't really imagine yourself being in that same situation. But I guess that's part of being a professional baseball player is that you have to be able to deal with the failures and then also congratulate yourself when you're doing well. So
yeah.
um,
Absolutely. There's a
it's a great
balance.
question though.
Yeah, there's a balance for sure. Well, as we're moving along here, the offensive approach hasn't really changed too much as we know from last year to this year. And as a fan, Destiny, as someone who understands baseball, I don't again want to overreact to what we are seeing on the field, but there have been a lot of lineup changes already this year, and I'm going to be getting into the leadoff spot in just a bit with our conversation, but what should we be making of all the lineup changes that we've seen thus far? And is this a reflection of maybe the team possibly losing some confidence in themselves, maybe trying to find themselves? Because I feel like there there's some urgency here that we're seeing early in this season. And I guess also to follow up too, you know, if this means that Kevin Long as the hitting coach, might his job be in jeopardy here? So I don't know. What do we make of all these lineup changes? And, is Kevin Long, could he be possibly on the chopping block here?
Yeah, the lineup changes are super interesting to me just because the way Rob Thompson has uh, worked these last few years is that he would kind of stick with a certain lineup and show trust in certain guys, and then when he does change the lineup, it's kind of a seismic move.
Right.
And then now, like, I feel like they're just trying to find the right combination and get guys used to being in different spots, and I don't think that's a matter of panicking. I think part of it too is narrative, just because
Yeah.
we talk so much about the lineup and what's the best combination of guys. It's like if you change the lineup every day, then we're a bit exhausted by this conversation
Right.
and it's kind of rendered meaningless. So that's my like conspiracy theory when it comes to lineup. This is something that I actually really want to ask Rob about, just because he is known for thinking about his lineups days in advance, and then when he does make a change, it doesn't look like he's being reactionary or panicky. So I wonder if that has changed at all this year.
Yeah.
I'm sure like it's a matter of like he knows 3 days in advance who's playing, and then it's a matter of like figuring out the lineup combination. I'll
Yep.
figure that out later.
Yeah.
But as far as Kevin Long goes, I think that this is more of like a evaluate the situation after the playoffs,
Right.
because I do
Because
think,
Kevin Long has been doing a
yeah,
pretty good job as a hitting coach now for some time here.
yeah, like there's been some success stories. Like I think about like Brandon Marsh when he came here. I know like we're talking about him struggling. I even think about like the changes he suggested to Max Kepler and
Yeah.
how they panned out in spring trading. I know it's been a bit of an uneven start for him, but I think that'll turn into another Kevin Long success story. And all the guys like him, and there was like a valid conversation of whether they should move on or not after, the same thing happening in the playoffs last year. And I think if it happens again a third time, then I think the move is obvious. But I don't see like an in season change the way, I think back to 2019 where they've inserted Charlie Manuel
Yeah. Right.
just to
Right.
kind of get everybody uh, to clear their head. Like I don't see that as something that's going to happen this year. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Like they're going to have to, and this it's October, so like we're months away from kind of dealing with that conversation. But they're going to have to. Uh, there's going to be have to be a different result for him to keep his job next year. I could agree with that.
Absolutely, yeah. Some reevaluation for sure. And I mentioned the leadoff spot to you, and I was really wondering at the start of the season, Destiny, what we should be making of the leadoff spot with that particular storyline, because there was some juice to whether or not there were going to be different players and different strategies, or just trying to throw something against a wall and see what sticks with regard to the leadoff spot. And I was coming into this season thinking that we would see some experimentation, and other folks were kind of like, it's really not going to happen. It's going to be Kyle Schwarber, blah blah blah. But we are definitely seeing some changes every now and then to the leadoff spot. What should we be making of this here? What have you been thinking about this?
I think this is super interesting too, and we just talked about the lineup as a whole,
Yeah.
but I know in spring training Rob was asked about Bryson Stott as a leadoff guy, and he was just like, the way the lefty heavy lineup is just not going to happen. And then lo and behold, like in the middle of April, he's hitting leadoff against
Right.
right-handed starters.
Yep.
And the big
Yeah.
storyline in spring training too was that they're going to move Trey Turner to the leadoff spot to kind of nudge him into thinking of a different approach and thinking about getting on base and going the other way. And then now he's just the leadoff hitter against lefties, and then Kyle
Yep.
Schwarber, it's like, who cares where he hits? Like
Right.
he's
Right.
gonna hit, no matter where you put him. So yeah, like I mean, I'm curious to see how the Bryson Stott leadoff experiment goes. Like I'm more of a proponent of like your three best hitters have to hit 1, 2, 3, and I'm not quite there as far as like Bryson Stott being one of their three best hitters. Like to me, it's
Yeah.
obviously like Schwarber, Bryce, and Trey. I'm more interested in seeing if Rob continues with stacking the lefties. It's a little bit easier for this series, and when I mean stacking the lefties, I mean hitting Schwarber and Harper back to back, or
Right.
Harper and Schwarber back to back. It's a little bit easier for the Giants series just because they only have one lefty in the bullpen. But I think a massive flaw in the way they've constructed lineups in the last few years is the lack of strikes Bryce has seen in the strike zone, and that's a big part of, they've had Bohm and Castellanos behind him as the protection. I think that's a big reason why that Harper's not seeing a lot of strikes. So having Schwarber theoretically behind him is hopefully going to help. So I'm curious to see if that continues, and if like we actually see Bryce getting more strikes in the zone, and as a result, having better numbers. It's crazy because like Bryce, he has great numbers anyway, but like he's doing this without like seeing like the least amount of strikes as any other hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
as I said before, like the whole lineup conversation, I know like people like to poo-poo it and say like in the end it really doesn't matter, but like the fact that we're continuing to talk about it, it
It,
does
it
matter, and
it
then
does.
comfort
Yeah.
also matters too.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It does. I don't. Yeah. That whole narrative of that it really doesn't matter in the end. I don't buy it. I really don't. So I'm glad we're on the same
Yeah,
page
that's my
when it comes to that.
anti-analytics take. Like I do think
Yes.
lineups actually do matter.
Exactly.
It's not just a matter of like it being like a difference of like 4 runs over the course of the season. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we're moving along with the conversation here, Destiny, we were talking about Brandon Marsh here, and I had so much hope for him coming into this season. I really thought that he would be able to seize the moment with his starts, and also how he would be performing against lefties. I was a big proponent for him being that everyday center fielder here, but of course, as we know, he's been disappointing to say the least, and he's just benched basically a few days ago here. I just, we talked about sports psychology. We talked about, how players in general try to get out of the slumps that they get into during the course of seasons. Is there anything Rob Thompson, you think, and the coaching staff can be doing more to possibly help him at this point? And this really transcends to the team too, because like we were talking about earlier, this is going to happen to maybe just about everybody, because everybody does go through slumps here. Can Rob Thompson and company be doing anything more, do you think?
yeah, I think they're doing a lot already, especially with
Okay.
Kevin Long behind the scenes, just trying to get him mechanically right. And I think I mentioned this before. Like he thought he was too still in his mechanics, and he has to kind of get back to his bouncy self. But
Yep.
I think the thing that Brandon Marsh can lean on, and this is kind of different than Bohm, is that he's a positive spirit and a guy that could not only uplift others but uplift himself. So obviously, like when you see an 0 for 29, you're going to be down yourself. But
Yeah.
I think he can rely on his ability to kind of put the past in the past and kind of focus on, not only getting good results for himself, but he's also a very team oriented guy, and he's hitting at the bottom of the lineup. So he's not expected to carry the team.
Right.
So, he could kind of take solace in the fact that he gave a good at bat, and then that kind of led to the top of the lineup doing something, you know, a little bit later. So yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident in Brandon Marsh getting out of it. Like, I don't think it's a matter of like, you know, the manager, the hitting coach helping him out too much. Like, I think
Okay.
he kind of has the tools within himself to you know, kind of lift himself out of the slump.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we're moving along with the conversation here, folks, if you are not following Destiny on various social media sites out there, you got to follow her. She is fantastic. And again, the content over at philliesnation.com is always stellar. Great reporting. I'm checking every single day what's happening over at philliesnation.com. You should as well. Destiny, where can folks find you out there on the interwebs if they, wanted to see your Twitter/X, or stuff that you're posting out there?
Yeah, so I'm still on X. Honestly, I'm not as active as I used to be on
It's a
there, but you could,
cesspool.
yeah, yeah. Um, you could find me at Destiny_Lugardo on X. On Blue Sky, I believe I'm just Destiny Lugardo.
Yep.
I'm a little bit more active on there. I let all my dumb thoughts out on Blue Sky as opposed to X, just because the sometimes the reaction's a little bit too much for me.
A little too much. Yep.
But like I'm still like I don't want to get too much on a tangent on here. Like I still appreciate everybody that does follow me on like whatever platform you do, and I do want to serve like the
Yeah.
audience that wants to
Yep.
hear from me. So even if I'm not like replying to everybody, like I'm still like trying to be the best I could possibly be at my job. And
Yep.
whether it's just like me posting an article and you learn something, or a random update on Twitter, that's what I'm here for.
I will say this too, and I honestly wasn't even planning on mentioning this, but folks, Destiny is one of those reporters that's not only doing her job at Citizens Bank Park, she has access and credentials to things that we aren't able to see. A consummate professional, yet she is a fan of the Philadelphia Phillies, and balancing those two things have been something that I have witnessed over these years that I think is absolutely phenomenal, Destiny. I'm serious. I really do. Because I know that I couldn't do. There's a reason why I have not tried to get this podcast show credentialed over the years in various ways with various professional sports organizations down in Philadelphia. It's because like I'm too much of a fan, but you balance things out so
Yeah.
incredibly well from a professional standpoint and a fan perspective. I got to give you all the credit in the world. I just want folks to know, if you are listening to this for the first time, if you're hearing Destiny for the first time or watching on YouTube, a consummate professional yet a fan, it's a great balance of both.
Yeah, like I could say like I started in my job like when I was very young, and I was worried about like the transition of like
Yeah.
going from a reporter to, or going from a fan to becoming a reporter. And what I found is that I find the job to be like so fulfilling that it's been a very easy transition. I
Yeah.
would say the harder part about it is like if I'm around the team, and like I really like everybody in the Phillies organization. Like there's honestly like no bad apples that I've met.
Right.
It's hard to criticize someone that you personally like. Like I
Yeah.
find that to be like the difficult part of the
Yeah.
job. Not even like the I like I want the Phillies to do well for the sake of like, the people that I know that are still Phillies fans in the city. But I also want like I see like kind of what goes in the work of the everyday basis. So
Yeah.
that's
You
kind
see
of
how the
the tough
sausage
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you see how that sausage is made for sure, and you really do have a great balance with it, which is, one of the reasons I love following you and what you are specifically doing from a reporting perspective and as a fan. So, well, look, as we're moving along here, I wanted to get into some pitching with you, Destiny, and specifically the good news coming from this Phillies organization in terms of Andrew Painter. He's officially on the mound down in Clearwater. He's been on a pitch limit for sure in Florida before he starts making his way, hopefully, to the majors and to Philadelphia in just a couple to a few months. That's the hope for sure. What do us fans need to keep seeing from Andrew Painter, where he is at right now, where we're going to be confident in him joining this Phillies team later this season?
Yeah, I think it's all about health. Obviously, like he can't pitch if he's not healthy,
Yeah.
and we're one start in, and so far so good. But I don't want to take too much from these, rehab. I don't know if you could even call it rehab just because he's technically not even like on the injured list, but
Yeah.
he's just slowly building up, and the Phillies want to conserve his innings. So um, I do think, the interesting thing about like the Andrew Painter conversation is that I don't think the collective Phillies fan understands how good he can be. Because I do think when it comes to these top prospects, we always have this, air of skepticism. But Andrew Painter, I believe he's like the seventh ranked prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
When he comes up, like he is going to make an impact. Um, it's a little bit of a strange situation too, just because he's a starting pitcher and their biggest strength is the starting rotation, and also the fact that they're very good at keeping their starters healthy. So, once this becomes more of a prominent conversation, it's like, where is he going to go?
Yeah.
I read Todd Zlecki talked to Dave Dombrowski recently, and he said that they don't see him as a bullpen arm, just because of they don't want to change his role, and they want to kind of keep him healthy and on the same path. So I'm very interested to see what happens, and you know, I would say as like the collective, Phillies viewer, we've been very lucky as to the like amount of starting pitchers that have stayed healthy. So you never really know what's going to come up in the next couple months. Maybe in June, like we're having a conversation of like, oh, they're down two or three starting pitchers. They need Andrew Painter. Maybe Andrew Painter's looked at more as a luxury. Maybe the plan changes and they do put him in the bullpen. Like who
Yeah.
knows? But
Yeah.
it's going to be a very exciting storyline just because we've been anticipating this for the last what 2 years.
Yeah.
They really needed him in 23, and then his arm uh, unfortunately gave out.
Yep.
But yeah,
I
it's something to look forward to definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he's going to do when he gets up to the bigs, and even going through the farm system too. As somebody who, keeps tabs on what happens in Reading, what happens in Lehigh Valley, can't wait to see what Andrew Painter is going to do. So to close us out here, Destiny, and sticking with the pitching here, I want to talk about Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, currently, as of us recording this again on April 16th here, 2025, has a 4.07 ERA. One win, one loss. Not a great ERA by any stretch of the imagination by Zach Wheeler standards here. I mean, Taijuan Walker at this point has a better ERA than Wheeler at the moment. I'm wondering, what should our level of concern be for the ace pitcher on this Phillies team right now? Like, are you concerned at all? Should we be concerned as a fan base? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, honestly, I'm not concerned until I really
Okay.
see something that
Okay.
allows me to be concerned. Like the thing with me with baseball, it's just so weird. Like the weather's bad, weird things happen.
Yeah.
Bad teams end up at the top of the standings, and then a pitcher like Zach Wheeler has a 4 ERA. But yeah, it just hasn't been like quite as sharp as a start to the season as you would imagine for Zach Wheeler. It just feels like he has those bad innings, and it's a story that we talk about with a lot of starting pitchers. Like they're cruising through three. Talk about this a lot with Aaron Nola, and then they kind of just lose their command, and then they have a long inning, and then that kind of ruins their line. But the ERA, like I think back to that start in Atlanta. Johan Rojas catches that ball, and the story is probably a lot different.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think with Zach Wheeler, it's just um, like I said before with Andrew Painter, like health is the biggest thing. Like if he's making every start, then you feel pretty good, even if he's kind of not at his best right now. Um, it's hard to take for granted. Zach Wheeler's been so good; he's also been so healthy. So like to kind of see him at a point in the season where his ERA is like that, like it's a little bit strange. But I feel good that Zach Wheeler is going to bounce back at some point.
All right. Sounds good. Again, she is Destiny Lugardo, folks, from PhilliesNation.com. Feel free to follow us on various social media sites as well. We are on Instagram, Twitter/X. I just refuse to call it just X at this point. I'm still in that camp. We are on Facebook. You can follow us there and like our page. Threads, Blue Sky. I'm over on TikTok as well. Destiny, again, it was fantastic having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully you'll be able to join us at some point down the road, my friend.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. See you soon.